Welcome to Pet Perfect Audio. Today I'm going to be discussing what to do if your gerbil falls out of your hands or jumps out of your hands or jumps from a great height. So, gerbils are very resilient creatures and they can fall from heights as much as 5 feet and after a period of recovery be okay, but it is still concerning because there is a potential that they could break bones or be traumatized in other ways. So, what should you do if any of these things happens to your gerbils? Well, the first and probably most obvious step is catch your gerbil and put it in the cage. Make sure that your gerbil doesn't leave the room. Usually, gerbils will be fairly surprised or fairly terrified, and you can catch them kind of easily. Um, they'll still be a challenge because they're probably going to be racing about terrified. But the key to that is a quick reflex because if your gerbil jumps and you can drop on your knees and catch it and put it back in the cage, there will be a lot less trauma than staring at it and then screaming or doing something like that. So keep quiet, catch the gerbil and put it in the cage. Step 2, secure the lid and darken the room. So once the gerbil is in the cage, then you put the lid on and make sure that the lid will not come off. And then darken the room. You can turn off lights, and I also prefer to have a darkened and rather cool room. So turning a fan on a low setting just stirs up the air, and maybe it's just a comfort to the human, but it does seem to be a prime recovery environment. Step 3, leave the gerbil to recover. A gerbil will recover more easily and quickly if they are left alone in a dark room and their trauma can eventually wear off. And most gerbils, once they have had a period of time to recover, they will become friendly again and easy to handle. Now, it depends on the gerbil. They may become mistrusting, they may show a variety of other symptoms, but mainly it is common for the gerbil to just bounce back because, as I said before, gerbils are extremely resilient and they are, they're just resilient creatures and very hardy. So, if nobody wants this to happen at all, and so the best thing to do would be prevention. So, we don't want to just handle the gerbil in unsafe ways and then be surprised when it jumps or gets hurt. So, 2 important prevention steps. Step 1, always handle the gerbil over the cage. I learned that the hard way because when I was not super careful, the gerbils had been calm all that time and I was kind of letting down my guard and I had the fan on and the gerbil spooked at something. I'm assuming the fan since it was moving overhead, but I don't know. It could have spooked at a shadow or something else. Gerbils are very unpredictable. But I unfortunately did not have it over the cage, and so it jumped out of my hands onto the floor and scurried around for a couple minutes while I was finally able to catch it and put it back in the cage. And so the gerbil is recovering, and this has happened once before, I think, and it seems to be fine. So I'm just going to handle it over the cage from now on and implement that method of discipline. Step 2, pick up the gerbil when calm. That is definitely not a foolproof method. As I mentioned before, the gerbils were previously calm when the one gerbil spooked and jumped out of my hand, but the likelihood of the gerbil jumping and escaping is much lower if they are calm and if they aren't scared and fearful or really excited, because excited gerbils tend to do rather dangerous things such as jumping and climbing and escaping because they're excited. So that is what to do if your gerbil falls or is dropped. Um, One last big tip is do not panic. If you panic, that will increase the gerbil's panic. And so it is best to just follow these steps and also just listen to your instincts because, especially if you have experience with animals, generally your instincts will be well founded. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video and you can put it to good use. Bye.